Hello and welcome to Be Powerful with Liz and Lee. It's a new day and we're so glad you're here.
So you can expect to hear candid conversations on what it means to be powerful. Live authentically, live in the midst of ups and downs, productively, and above all else, joyfully.
We are so thankful for you, our community of listeners, and we hope you enjoy today's show. We're going on both ends. We're going, Liz.
What do you mean we're going on both ends?
That sounded like something you would say. Zero context.
Yeah, zero. We're going on both ends.
Explanation.
And we're on.
We are recording.
Oh, good.
Both audio and video.
Okay, let's go.
We are.
Oh, it's happening.
Like we're literally going.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Liz.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nancy Lee Patterson Fitzgerald Kennelly.
That is way too many names, but I like you anyway.
I didn't give them to myself.
Well, that's all right. We can always, take it down to the initials.
So speaking of being specific and using adjectives in your words and context, what did you say to me right before we went on?
I said, you actually look good.
And then I was quiet and you settled yourself and you said, oh, I heard that. And I said, what word did you use?
She always says, listen to what you just said. So actually would have been the word that I shouldn't have used in the middle of the sentence.
Because what does that imply?
Just say, you look good, not you actually look good. Like as if you never look good.
There we go.
So yeah.
Today's learning lesson.
Yes, we're learning that. Use your words wisely, especially in this room, right?
Yes. I follow somebody, y'all know her, Miranda and Charlotte on Instagram, and she's always giving really good proper grammar lessons on Instagram when something makes her mad.
Real?
For
okay,
real.
That's
and
good.
so there's
somebody's doing that besides you.
One.
That's brilliant.
There's a new one that apparently somebody's taken off and saying that it's actually hotter than hail. Hail instead of hotter than hell.
From South Carolina or something. I'm sorry, South Carolinians. I know you don't speak like that, but
it's like
that's
she really had to describe
I'm sorry,
how
hail?
That's incorrect.
I feel like I've gone to hale. No, they don't. People don't say that.
No.
Hell, H-E, double hockey sticks,
which is worse than hail. So it makes sense.
Well, it's hotter than hail. Hail is cold and comes in little round balls and punches you hard in the skin when it hits you, and hell burns you to pieces.
Don't want to go there.
Nope.
What'd you do to your arm?
Okay, I got my B12 shot today in the studio.
Oh, yeah.
Once a month, they come in and what are their names again?
Vax Clinic.
Vax Clinic. They come in and give us our B12 shots. And now everybody's really excited about it and coming in just for that. So yeah, I got that today. So I feel really good.
We've had a productive day.
Mm-hmm.
I, for one, woke up at the crack of before dawn because my daughter had an 8th grade field trip to DC.
Gosh.
And then I taught 2 classes and it was killer, and everybody came because it's May-cember and they're trying to squeeze in a workout before the kids come home. And it was fun.
Good.
It was fun. And now here we are podcasting.
Yeah. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I had something.
What's on the agenda?
What's on the agenda?
I'm always, by the way, y'all, I'm always waiting to see what the subject is. She brings it up and we roll.
I have the question and then you talk.
Nope. Well, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Go.
No, it's all good. I was thinking about this and I don't know why, but it just keeps kind of replaying in my head that I would like for all ourselves to bring our whole selves to the dance.
Which dance?
Life.
Oh, gotcha.
Any.
All right.
Every.
That was a whole lot of metaphors there.
It's just one big metaphor.
Let's bring our whole self to the dance.
So if you think about a dance, there's lots of different elements and people. You've got the chaperone, you've got the wallflowers, you've got the dancers, you've got every sort of person. If you look at like a 1980s movie or something. I see
where you're going with that.
You see where I'm going?
I see where you're going.
And so it made me think about how I, over time and a lot more with you, have brought my whole self to the dance.
Yes, you have. You even bring your wallflower. And
right.
When you're really having fun, you bring your wild clogging girl. Which our friends are going to have another Irish party, by the way, because they want to see you clog again.
They are?
No, we had friends. No, I'm going to interject.
Go ahead.
Friends here that the first time they met you, they didn't know you at all. And all you did was clog a lot at this Irish jam party with a band in their living room. Anyway,
I have
let's go back to your premise. So you're saying let's all show up. All the pieces of ourselves should show up for life.
Yes, and I don't mean that all of your parts need to show up all the time at once, though. There is a difference. You can't be all of you all the time. You need to be quiet sometimes. You need to be more vocal, more sensual, more compassionate, more listening, more whatever, all those different things. But at the end of the day, I hope we all find every little bit of ourselves, the old voice in our head, the newness, the things we're afraid of, and we're able to express ourselves in all of our ways without feeling small, without feeling scared, without feeling judged, without feeling shame. As long as those, unless you're an axe murderer.
Well,
keep
I
that
think this is
at
a good
bay.
point. This is a good point. Okay, which takes me back to Ted Lasso, which everything in
course.
life takes me back to Ted Lasso. There's a great scene in the very latest episode where Rebecca is looking in the mirror. She's going into a boardroom with a lot of very rich old men, and she's a very beautiful woman who is going to be the only woman with these owners of these soccer teams. And she looks in the mirror and her confidence is low and she sees her little child self. And I love that scene because she looks her little child self, which I think I love to do. I like to remember my little child self a lot. She looks the child self in the eye and they both do the same breath where they breathe in and they exhale and they bring their arms above their head and they do that face they do. You only have to see Ted Lasso a couple of times to know the face. But basically, she respects that child in her, the little girl that's scared, and she brings her with her, but she brings her in power, which I think
that's so powerful because when I think of that, I think of my old child self or just child self and either feel, what do I feel? Sad for when I think of the child self, it's not a full expression, but I love the way you just phrased that. She brought even the scared child self in with power.
Generally.
And I love that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Love that.
Like respecting her because the older I get, the more I respect who I was when I was a kid, and I was afraid to do certain things, but also I was a wild child that loved to romp and play. And I'm trying to, whereas I don't want to be the scared child, I want to be the romping and playing child.
Right.
I want to remember how to do the fun things that we as adults sometimes think we all want to grow up and put all that aside.
Right.
And when we do, we lose the real meaning of life, which is really joy. And playing is part of being a kid. So your point of bringing everybody to the dance, the little wallflower Lee that maybe didn't feel like she was going to be asked out or something. She's there,
she wasn't asked out.
Or the Liz that, didn't think she could spell, still can't spell. But the idea is that, you bring those parts of yourself as a whole and you respect them and you don't go, oh, and now I'm over that. We can all go back in our lives and go, I wish I'd known now what I knew, back in the day, but
I wish I'd
that's
been
the
what
way.
I know.
That's the way we learn, and that's the way we grow into I think, compassionate, empathetic, real human beings that can be successful in just being a person,
Right?
Not being the most perfected. I figured it all out human.
That's the truth. That's the truth. And I wonder sometimes if we spend a lot of time understanding our past selves and wanting that to go away. Healing wounds by closing them or at least giving them space and then burying those. And I think that's so interesting what you've said is bringing it along with compassion and with power and honoring the past selves that have gotten us where we are.
Absolutely.
Instead of looking at our lives as a plan A, B, C, D in order to get to a Z and they go away once they're passed chronologically. And I don't think that benefits us.
I think I'm going to have to bring this up. Remember, we were talking right before we went on the podcast. Let's not talk about the heavy subject of abortion, but I'm going to bring it up because of this.
Yeah.
Because remember when we did the podcast and I felt the need to talk about my abortion when I was 17? Well, I had never talked about it to anyone except for my mother. That was it. And the doctor or whoever. And so what that demonstrated to me was the power of bringing that girl into the light and setting her free, because she was that damaged, shamed, part darkness that I carried around that was just shame. Like no matter it colored all the other things I did in life. And so
Wow.
I'm glad that I did that. And so we all carry something that we just, you always think, if somebody knew this about me,
Right.
no one would like me. Right. And that was probably my main one. And letting that be free was like, I not only it had no power over me, but I embraced her. I said, you are okay. You're not what you thought you were. Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's extremely,
no, it is
extremely
That's powerful stuff.
And when we recognize that probably each and every one of us does have that person, self, shame, hanging on, fear, whatever it is, regret, it's not as big. I mean, it is big for us, but probably not as big in the big picture because we've all got something.
Right. And the more we share that something, the more not only do you does the power of that over you go away, but you empower yourself to help others that are struggling with whatever their shame is, whatever their embarrassment, their humiliation, that thing that makes them feel like all the time, well, I'm just, if you really knew me, you would know that I'm really not as cool as I am.
Yes.
You know,
it's almost the analogy of when people first start dating and you present your, glossiest, shiny self, Instagram, whatever, filtered self to the world. And it's such a waste of time. I mean, first impressions are everything.
I don't think it's a total waste of time. First impressions are big, but I mean, I don't think I'm going to go in on my first date and go, hey, by the way, buddy, you need to know these things.
No. Not like a tell-all in the first 2 dates. But I mean, generally speaking,
no, I know what you mean.
Over time, if everything's a game or a show, right? If you're not, you got
to get real at some point.
You got to get real. Yeah.
Yeah. This is why I wear the choice bracelet every time I come on the podcast. Anyway, I feel like the more we've gotten real for sure, you and I, but the more real you become, the more real you see you can become.
That's true.
And every time you excavate the stuff that you didn't think was, or you were trying to shove down. Yeah. And just heal. You can't heal anything unless you expose it, period. If the wound is not cleaned, it is not going to heal. It's just going to, be nasty and smell bad and stuff. So
thanks for the graphic.
Have maggots and stuff.
Oh God.
But to bring it into
visualization.
I know, just like have the whole thing. But so bringing it out in the open and knowing that we don't have to be these perfect human beings that walk the planet. And, we are certainly not perfect, but we have a voice on this podcast. And I know because we hear from you guys that we say things that influence you and resonate or sometimes they don't, and you'll let us know. But you don't have to be an expert. You just have to be an expert on yourself. And I think being an expert about yourself lends meaning to the other things that you try to share with people in your life.
That's right.
Makes sense.
No, I think so. And I believe that when we don't hold back a little bit in certain ways at the right time, at the right place, that helps us be activists and advocates for those who haven't learned to use their voice yet. And that's a really important part of our society and community when we think about the things that matter most to humanity. I think one of the major things is community and knowing you're heard and appreciated. And so we walk that wave, we dance that dance of being able to be vocal at times when we can, being the strength for those without the voice.
Isn't it interesting that in our society right now, we're trying to shut voices down? Yeah. That we want to ban books, that we want to not let people self-express, that we think that we know, certain people think they know better than other people about how supposedly people should and should not be in life. And that is really shutting down. You shut a person's self-expression and voice down, and you shut their life down.
Absolutely.
Because no one knows what it's like to walk in another's shoes. That's just a simple phrase that really means that it's the truth.
We all know how important it is to fuel yourself just right every morning. Liz, what's your jet fuel?
It's the HSM smoothie, of course.
Obviously.
But also, I've got a new little thing.
You've got a new friend? From Sakara Life, the Metabolism Super Powder is your go-to. It fires up your metabolism, curbs sugar cravings, helps ease bloat, And is it delicious?
Oh, it's so good, especially in your coffee. It's got a great taste.
Dump it in the coffee, blend it up,
Dump
and
it
go.
in the coffee, blend it, and be excited because you're going to love it.
Y'all go to sakaralife.com. When you check out, you'll receive 20% off your order, which is a great deal by using the code XOLizHSM. That's XOLIZHSM for 20% off your order at sakaralife.com. So on a human level, what can we do and what are those things that we can do?
Mm-hmm.
And I just believe exactly what we've said, that allowing people to express themselves.
Well,
I mean, we're not going to grow and flourish as a society if all we're doing is putting people down. We've got to have the ability to express
lift
ourselves.
people up. And it feels like, we've all got this dark cloud over the world, really. But let's just go with our communities, our nation, our North Carolina area. There's this, hardcore darkness. It just says, we're going to have this and you're going to do what we say. You're going to have nobody. And it's coming from a strange voice that sort of twists religious beliefs into saying we know what's best, even though when not everybody is of the same religious beliefs, and sort of a thumb down on people's voices.
And what happens when we have a massive healthcare issue due now to some of these bans and laws and the pressure we're putting on our healthcare system and the pressure we're now putting on our businesses to be a state where not everyone is welcome.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go there because North Carolina right now used to be until July 1st when this ban goes into effect. Used to be, one of the top drawers. People want to come to North Carolina to open businesses, to do businesses. They're not going to come if you put bans on human rights. That is taking away freedoms. And what business is going to want to come to a place where you are taking away freedoms? Because then they have an issue with their own employees.
Right. It's a problem.
We've got a full woman business here. It's important that women have good health care.
Yes. A married woman who has a career, who has a miscarriage.
Right.
Her doctor's not in town.
Right.
She's, high risk or whatnot. She chooses to either wait, having had miscarried, to have a DNC and then not be able to try to get pregnant again for months and months, or take a pill, carry on as an adult, to move forward, to finish having a miscarriage and be able to try to get pregnant again. There are so many different angles to this. It's not just, a theological, the right thing to do.
It's not at all a theological thing. This is about power and power over people. This is about power of men having power over women, or the theology of the patriarchy, which can be both men and women. That system of thought having control over the rest, over a woman's body. And again, sometimes a man's body. I'm talking about men and women here, but it is coming down on the women.
Issue.
Yeah. Women are the women. We're the ones, that are going to have to stay out of work because of children issues, because of, our own reproductive rights issues. If you're not taking care of 50% of your society is not going to succeed, period.
That's right.
I like to come at it from a business point of view because they're just not listening to women. They don't really care. They don't apparently care about women's health, but they do seem to care more when it affects business. We definitely have an opinion on this, and I think it's important for us to voice it.
Yes, and that's part of bringing your whole self to the table. That good girl mentality about just shut up and be quiet and be small.
Right.
Well, there's not a whole lot I can do except express my concern, my opinion, and my vote. And that's everybody needs to. And don't just do what you're supposed to do or what you think you should do or what you've done forever. Pay attention.
The anger is there. So I'm not sure more anger above more anger and more anger is going to work. Take that anger, change that energy, and make a change by calling your representatives, by maybe running for office or doing the things, talking to your friends. opening the awareness that, oh, I mean, I've already talked to somebody that said, oh, but they only made the abortion ban down to 12 weeks. It is so much more than that. Just read the bill. You don't even have to read much of it. It's more like you've got 72 hours to make all these decisions, to get this doctor, to see all these people. And
by the time you figure it out, try getting into your doctor.
Yeah. And by the way,
good luck.
If you're a teenage girl, because I've been there, done this, you're not going to tell your mom or your dad until it is far too late. Okay. And we're going to lose lives on this one. We're going to lose lives. And I'm going to be vocal about that as long as I can, because I'm not going to, that's not acceptable.
No. And we should listen to your wisdom on that one. I stand there.
Yeah. So anyway,
good job.
Yeah. So
I'm going to take a deep breath on that one. We've expressed ourselves thoroughly, and there's that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't know we were going there, and we were just going to go to bringing all our people to the table, and would you call it the dance of life?
Yeah.
To the dance.
And life is fun and wonderful, and that's what we want to focus on too, that we've got a lot of crosses to bear and progress to make, and we've got to do that together. And
when you say life is fun and fair and all this, actually, it's not always fun. It's not always fair.
Did I say fair? I didn't mean to.
Oh, man. Oh, maybe I heard it. But
fun and wonderful. Like, we've got one life.
Right.
Therefore, we want to find the joy and live fully.
Right.
And it's very hard. Going back, let's talk a little bit about how maybe your persons have changed over time. Your little person to your medium person to your, do we go to big and old?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting. Like, I think it's, and I know we're talking about bringing all these people to the dance of life, but it's also all your opinions. You know, like your opinions really change.
Yeah.
Or mine do, don't yours? I mean, I used to like be black and white over issues. I'm not black and white over anything now. Are you? Like, this is definitely wrong and this is definitely right. If I feel like I am definitely right or definitely wrong on something, I'm going to look at it closely. I don't know. My opinions have just changed so much.
And I think they should. I think that shows growth and evolution. And at this point in my life, that is my opinion on those topics. And you know, they do change over time.
And we've been proven. It's not like we're just making this stuff out of thin air. I mean, I know what it's like to do the abortion when it's not legal. We know what it's like to watch on TV every single night of the week or on your phone. There's been another shooting. It's a daily occurrence. These are not okay. These are not opinions. These are facts.
Sure.
Right. Okay.
We maybe proved ourselves wrong on the opinion fact part, but I think the point is at different ages of your life, more things come into more clear of a focus, right? When you're 22, maybe you're not so concerned about certain issues as you are at 32, at 42, at 52, et cetera, based on your job, your family, whether or not you're partnered or espoused, whether or not you're employed or unemployed, whether or not you have children. I think your not value system, but the microscope on what you choose to focus on shifts.
Oh, absolutely. But that's with maturity and, you know, you're self-absorbed when you're younger and, you know, you change.
Right.
You start seeing the world outside of yourself and realizing you're a citizen of a community that you're here to be productive in, I believe. And
I believe so too.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what it's like to play small and what it's like to play yourself. And yourself is not small. Every individual is very massively large, don't you think? And I don't mean in physicality. I mean our spirits, our humanness, we're an expression, that one expression of spirit in that one body that has this opportunity to either be fully expressed or to play small and to be afraid and to not accept who we are. Okay.
Right. With
so
you.
I was actually having this conversation with an old friend yesterday who she was like, you know, I just feel like I just need to like fit in here because I'm not, she's not being herself.
Yeah.
If I look at any human person, you can see them playing small and you can see them being not themselves.
Right.
If that makes sense. I mean,
you can. How do you see it?
I see it as I played small so long that I'm really an expert at playing small.
But
Okay.
what indicates it to you when you see other people playing small? How
They're
do you
unhappy.
know?
They're unhappy.
How do you see it?
And they're frustrated. When you're unhappy with your life and you're frustrated, there's a lot of reasons, but sometimes don't you think we get afraid of the circumstances we're in, and we kind of close up. We literally physically close up.
And that's what I think you're seeing is the physical manifestation of that internal shutdown.
Yeah.
Where there's that lack of soul in the eyes left, or just the tension.
Well, I just recognize it from myself. I look at pictures of myself 20 years ago, and I look at pictures of myself now, and I'm a much more vibrant human being.
Yeah.
And that's not saying I was happier now or I was happier then or
Good
sad
point.
or any of that stuff.
Good point.
I just see that now I'm expressing more of who I am. I am living large instead of playing small, which I did for many, many years.
And I think you're very wise about this topic. So when you see someone like that, is it hard for you to watch it? Do you go right at them and say,
I go right at them.
Let's stop this? I mean, what do you do?
I go
when
right
you see
at
a friend in need in that way?
I do a friend in need, and my job as their friend is to remind them of how incredible they are, no matter what the conditions are in their life, no matter what that is. My job as me to myself in the mirror is that same thing. But when I'm looking at a friend that I know is a powerful, capable human being, in whether it's being the best mother, the best whatever you are, best dad, and I see them falling into themselves with that, it is a lack of confidence in some ways, but it's also I won't be accepted if I express myself. And remember, acceptance is really big for all of us. We just want to be accepted, or I'm afraid to step outside because then I'll make so much noise. My partner will be upset with me, I
want to stick on that for a minute.
Okay.
My partner will be upset with me because I would like to think of it as if someone is struggling or playing small a little bit, that it's not within the whole entire world. It's probably within whatever bubble they're in.
Oh, sure.
Whether
it's their
or not
life.
That's maybe business, maybe partner.
It happens a lot in partnerships. In marriages or partnerships like we have.
But my point is, I think it's interesting because that's who we are meant to be part of our fullest expression with. Yet I think there are really real times that we become our opposite and our smallest self to either appease the other person, to not make waves or confrontation. And I think that's just a really interesting facet of this conversation that I want to spend a second on.
Okay.
Because I think that's really hard.
It is hard.
To know that things in your most intense relationship, your most intimate relationship, or whatever's going on is making you play so small. And so how within that very important relationship do you begin to make changes to either change or evolve or grow together?
I think you've got to keep it open, because
an open relationship,
an open conversation. Right. Because more than not, I can only relate to, again, I'm an expert on me, not everybody else, but I can only relate to if my partner before you would be, I would be afraid if I self-expressed, I would take a limelight away. But if you are expressing yourself really wholly, I like that, holy and holy.
Yeah.
If you're expressing yourself to that level, then you will shine the light on all of it. And it's hard for me to put that into words.
No, I think you put it so clearly into words.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to take away from you if I'm being my absolute best self. Now, if the person in the relationship, say you did not like the way that I was expressing myself, then that is perfectly fine for you to go, I'm not comfortable here. And then we work that out.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be comfortable.
No. As a matter of fact, uncomfortable is the growth area, period. It's the growth area. Every partnership wants peace, but peace is,
doesn't always serve you.
It doesn't always serve the growth.
That's right.
We don't need the war, but we need the uncomfortableness, right?
And that's why I always ask you, how do you do it so well? And I think you just started to do it. There wasn't there was probably plenty of consciousness around it, but I know your personality and I know that you don't sit quiet and whatever.
Used to.
Yes, but not enough to hold you back all the way. I mean, you probably did to a degree, but I still think there was always the you that I know of you expressing yourself.
Yeah. And I think
you have to start somewhere.
And sometimes I would express myself in a not good for me way. Sure. I don't want to say a negative way, but I would go around being my true self and get my energy out in other ways that were not a good pattern for my relationship with my partner. So, I mean, the energy is energy. You are energy. We have got to fully express or we start to die, right? Your energy is important to just be out there. And you don't have to be loud and proud, but you have to have a spirit that is loud and proud.
Say that again.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that we physically have to be screaming, here I am, but your spirit must be that high of a frequency, must be that of a healing presence, must be that of a joyous voice that is just a thing, just as the feeling. And when you're around a friend or even somebody else, but a friend especially, when that joy has been sucked away or filtered down, you see it and I see it. And so I go directly at her yesterday and I say to her, where are you? Come back I want to see you again. Bring yourself back to me because you are that incredible human being. You are powerful. I never use those words out loud because I've got them, I'd be like cliche.
A little trite, but
cliche, but it's true. I mean, show me your power. Show it to me. It's right there. I'm looking at it. You're squelching it. And when you show me your power, that's when you're living your highest good. And that's when you're serving not only your partner, but all the other people in your life and outside of your life, around you in your community.
That was really moving. Just because I knew exactly what you were talking about. And I want everybody listening to rewind that, to listen, that not the person you were talking to yesterday, but you. Show me you.
Show me you. Just
bring
show me
yourself back to me.
Right. Just you're there because I see you. And if you've got a friend that sees you, then you are one fortunate human. And you want friends that see you, that don't see what they want to see, but they see you.
Man.
And we all try to hide in these shells and we see it in each other. I see it now. I remember how I did it. And it was uncomfortable. And it didn't serve me. And it didn't serve the people in my life.
No. And it takes a good friend to do that. I remember exactly the friend, Holly, who was the first when I started really struggling a decade ago, whatever, in life, marriage, whatever. And she saw that in me. And I think a big part of that was she had maybe experienced something similar and just said that, how are you when you know somebody isn't just saying it in passing.
Right.
That they see in your soul, they see in your eyes.
Maybe we just need to do that more for people anyway. I mean, don't cross that energy border. You're like, whoa, that was too much, but.
I'm trying to set the mats out.
Here's my space, here's your space. Without going into their space so much. I have no problem with that now, but I'm also try not to be intrusive in someone's life, especially because it's...
Well, it opens the door. And really I can go back to this example as she said it. And I was able, because of the way she said it so openly, to respond and go, let's go have dinner. Let's talk at another time. I need you. A door was open and I saw that. And we were able at the right time to discuss.
And this is a person you knew through workout, right? Because I want to bring a point up about workout. I was reading a thing this weekend that, psychotherapy, our therapists and all those things, which many of us just love and what we do without them, right? But it turns out that it doesn't always help as much as we think it does. The talk therapy, the pills, all those things. But now it's scientifically proven that the movement of the body helps release the hormones and the, all the systems that need to come into effect to help us sort of heal emotionally and feel like we can communicate it, right? Get
Got
our
it.
systems on go. And again, it's a movement thing. So the movement
makes sense to me.
The movement of the body is very it's so integrated. It's the same thing with whether you're depressed or not, whether you're happy or not, because just all of it comes down to your physical and mental.
Mm-hmm.
Physical and mental health are kind of the same thing now. They just always have been, but now we're talking about it a little bit more.
Right.
So I find it interesting. She's a friend of yours through you felt, I feel like there was a comfort zone in there because you all moved together.
That's interesting. Probably so. I mean, because I can very quickly at the studio go into a more meaningful conversation.
Really fast.
Yes, very quickly with someone, because it's just like everybody leaves their shit at the door.
Yeah, it's true.
You're like,
it's true.
I'm here to work out for, you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
You've already sweat. You've already struggled through 80 push-ups.
Yeah.
We're like back to our roots.
Yes.
And, if we're ruminating or sitting and stagnating and perseverating, then we don't have the fluidity to say, because when you first said that, I was going to push back a little when I was hearing you say, we need less psychotherapy and talk and pills. I'm like, ugh. But to your point, I think saying movement helps initiate and make all of that more.
And by the way, if you're taking all those pills and seeing this, do all those things. But the movement of the body is now scientifically proven to, have 1.5% more than if you're taking some sort of a pill or something.
Sure. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So it's about being open to read the cues for people who are struggling and to accept when people read your cues when you're struggling. And I think that's a really important
It's
part of this.
Easier to see.
I know. And I'm thinking too now back to when you and I were legitimately friends.
Yes.
Just my boss.
Thank God. Thank God we were legitimately friends, because that was just a great way to be and then to spring into this.
But I wonder how much you saw in me or us in each other of those same sort of signs that brought us connection in some way. I'm just curious.
I think so. I think so for sure.
I would imagine, yes.
Yeah, no. And it's just, we had a relationship back then before we were romantically involved that was very open and honest and pure. And it always was. It still is. But it started there.
And I wonder why. I mean, I think people just have that connection. I think
it's not just because of the workout, by the way. I don't even have to think that.
No.
But no, it's just, we found a common, there's so many elements there.
There are. Yeah. And I think you saw something in me that I didn't see.
I recognized you. I just saw you and how you were playing small.
Yes.
I knew that immediately. But also I saw you play large and play you when you would really be yourself. And I went, oh my God, she's such an incredibly bright light. And what did all these people say to you last week about your birthday? Every single person wrote or said to you, you were such a bright light in my life. I could see that with you. And then I could see your light dim and shut down at times because you were playing small in a position that you just weren't able to navigate through at that point.
It just breaks my heart. Like, I just remember that feeling when your light is dim and you just feel like you're going to crumble. And I remember crying at the studio, just all sorts of times.
I do too.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that, but that's okay. That's where we are. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for every person who put their hand on my shoulder, who read it, who knew it, and stood by me. I mean,
I think we're fortunate.
I wear everything on my sleeve a little bit now. So I'm glad that you've helped me find my light and that people see that.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful.
Do see that. People always saw that, Lee. They always saw your light. Wow. Even when you tried to dim it, they always saw that.
It's on.
Yeah. You're just like a little Care Bear with your little light coming out. I don't know which one you are. Remember the Care Bears?
That was a really good pullback from the 80s.
Yeah,
90s.
I know. I was a mother then. I still am a mother. But I mean, I had bears in my house and they had these things. That and the Princess of Power.
Oh gosh.
All this stuff plays.
I kind of forgot that the Care Bears had that.
Yeah, they had the light. Remember they had the cartoon? I know
that really resonated with you. You're like, oh my gosh, they're chakra.
No, I bought Clary every Care Bear there was. And we lined them on the wall and they'd have all these like things they did. And Care Bears. Care Bears.
Care Bears. Care Bears. Care Bears. And
So be a Care Bear to your friend.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. No. Yes. Yeah, or just emanate light.
Emanate light.
Emanate yourself, whatever that self is. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. Nobody, I'm going to tell you, there's nobody that is born on this planet that I don't think that isn't starting out with this incredibly beautiful joy. Now, yeah, it gets twisted. And yes, things get dark. But underneath all that, somewhere they're there. And the hurt builds up, and then it switches the switch, and it turns that energy into darkness. And then there's where we see the pain and the hurt from other people. But everybody's got it. Just find a way to release yourself, and movement helps. And
she's always going to throw that in. Finding good friends.
It's just, I don't care if you come to the studio. I honestly don't care if you come to the studio or not. I love it if you do, but I don't care. What I care about is that I think therapists should probably have us pacing. We should all go on walks with therapists. Isn't it funny? Just I'll be there at 4. We'll be done at 4:50, but we're going to walk the whole time.
I know. Just find a friend who will go on a walk. You see everybody around town walking with their boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's good. People are yapping. They're getting it all out.
It's good stuff. And if you have an actual therapist, think how great that would be.
I had one who moved, and I would go on a walk with my AirPods in and do it.
Oh, I bet you were really better.
That was probably my best sesh yet.
Anyway, so we dug in a little bit today, but I think if we want to solve at least our problems, personal problems, the faster we can get into our own selves, the more we can then attend to the business of our government, all of the things we're concerned about, all the things we just talked about on the podcast. But when we can find ourselves first, then we find our power and our wherewithal to then take the action that is legit, that is, authentic, that is the one that only, you take or I take. That's how we do this. We don't get frustrated and get small. We open up and we play large.
So you're going to pick your favorite song. You're going to go in a room. You're going to close the door. You're going to play it loud, and you're going to dance.
I love that.
All around.
I love that.
Find out.
That's a great idea.
All yourselves.
Yeah.
And dance with wild abandon.
You do.
I do now.
Can I just say this before we get off?
You can. I know
best thing. It's like we'll be sitting on the sofa, and I'm supposed to be, of course, not sitting on the sofa because I always say, sit on the floor and do something else when you're watching Ted Lasso or whatever. But at a break, Leo just get up off the sofa and go into this impromptu dance. And I mean, it is legit.
It's legit.
It's a legit dance. And I'm just mesmerized. I'm like, I want to see more. And then she'll get out and she'll leave the room and then she'll come back in and she'll do a little bit more. And then she'll sit down and we'll go right back into the thing on TV.
Sometimes you just need to shake your ass.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You are. You got the whole thing down. Trust me.
Oh my God. Well,
that was fun.
I think. Fun.
Wow, we kind of covered some interesting ground here, but it's always fun.
It's like a slingshot in here. See if the boomerang comes back or not.
We'll see how this podcast worked out. We'll let you know. You might hear it. You might not.
You'll hear it. Love you, babe.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to us today, wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, you can now find our podcast on YouTube.
Yeah. If you liked it, please share, rate, and review. We love 5 stars. And we hope you'll work out with us online or in studio at HilliardStudioMethod.com.